Welcome back and thanks for joining me on a garden episode. It's actually an outdoor garden episode. The weather has finally broken here in South Jersey and I've been able to get out into the garden and actually plant things. I'm going to take you around and show you what I've done outdoors. It's a lot happening, and then we'll go indoors and view what is still left indoors. Down here I've put the potatoes. So I put the mulch around before, and I'm just putting the grow bags on top. I have three different types of potatoes right now. There's Yukon Gold in there. There is Adirondack Blue, and then these two are Kioka Gold that are in the grow bags. I will be adding two more up at the front, but the way that I'm going to be doing the potatoes is similar to what I did last year. I filled the bags only halfway. Once the sprouts come up, and they're about an inch or two tall, I'm going to pour dirt and then let it come up. It worked pretty well. I just didn't do my right calculations last year. So this year I'm going to time it from the time that I put the last soil on top instead of when I actually planted the potatoes. Over here in the strawberry patch, it looks kind of bare, but I took all of the additional straw mulch that I had put down last year. I took it off. I fertilized this with a slow release granular fertilizer, and I also gave it a liquid fertilizer dose as well. I can see a lot of new growth in the bed, but I also see some bare area like this right here. I'm not too concerned with the bare patches that I see, as the amount of strawberries I had from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, I almost tripled the amount of strawberries I had in here. But it's nice to see that I've got leaves coming up here, and that my first year I was successful in overwintering the strawberries. In here is day one for the mint and the rosemary. I brought this out because I will be planting it in the beginning of April, and I wanted to make sure they were acclimated. I also wanted to make space indoors, and the cold frames are working out pretty well. And I know that the mint and rosemary are frost tolerant and can take a bit of a freeze. At least they'll be protected from any moisture getting onto them by being in here. So they're getting prepared to go out. Lavender too. I brought these out and put them in here. This grow bed seems to be a little more warmer and the temperature's more stable than the front one, so I put them in here. Two types of beets. I have the golden beets, kind of like a red spiral beet, that I planted in here. I've covered them with straw just to protect them a little bit, and these posts are here because the plan is to cover it with an ag fabric. Last fall I had a serious aphid issue on my turnips, so I don't want to deal with the aphids and the bugs eating my leafy greens, so I'm going to be putting ag fabrics shortly onto this. Same thing here, that's why I have these posts. I might switch these posts out, but in here are my turnips. This is just a trial run for the spring. When I have empty beds, I'm going to plant more in the fall, but I just wanted a couple to give to the chickens for the spring. The wheelbarrow this season is going to have my radish. Radish are really quick, so I'm hoping to get at least 2 or 3 crops of radish out of here before I put my ginger in here in the summer. But these have just been sown within the last 2 days I sowed the radish. But again, it's also going to have an ag fabric covering, that's why it has the post here. And then these 2 grow bags have carrots. I planted 3 different varieties. On this side I did 1 row of Uzbek Gold and 1 row of Black Nebula. The Uzbek is a yellow carrot, and the Black Nebula is actually a really deep purple carrot. That's going to go over here. And over here I did Oxheart, which are a regular orange carrot, but they are very short. I didn't plant any long carrots, and I tend not to plant the carrots that get super long because they don't do well in my yard, or I don't do well growing them. So I did the shorter ones and had a lot more success with that. So that's what's in these two. Back inside with the indoor garden, I've moved the sweet potatoes to this level of the shelving, and I have one that's reaching into the light. It's not touching the light yet, but reaching, and another one over here, which I will be collecting in probably a day. They grow really, really fast. So I usually am harvesting now between 1 and 2 every couple of days. Moving down here, I've got my assortment of peppers. These are a mixture of sweet and hot peppers. I had a pretty good germination rate with all of these. I moved a rosemary over here. I'll be gifting this to a friend, but this is a rosemary plant. And this is what happens when you reuse soil. I've got mint growing in my peppers. I will be potting up and using brand new soil. And these are the red Scotch bonnet over here. These, I had a 100% germination rate, but the reason why I'm missing some is that they came up with the seed coating. I still haven't mastered how to remove the seed coating when they come up. And that was the same thing that happened for the mystery one. And you can see that one right here. I tried to take the seed coating off and just didn't work. Down here are the hot peppers I started in late January, early February. They're getting tall and they look really healthy, nice and green. I will be topping some of these peppers. I tend not to top the habanero. They don't seem to like it, but I will be topping the peppers here. And this I'm just setting up for my sweet potatoes. So once they grow enough root in the water, I will be transplanting them to single 4-inch cells in here and keeping them in here until it's time to plant them out. Here, with the overwintered peppers, I believe I've had success with this one in the back, this one, and this one. But instead of both plants, only this one is growing. This one looks like it's dying. The ones in here are all getting a pale green and browning. So I don't believe these 4 are going to make it. As far as how I feel about overwintering peppers, personally, I think that it is a lot more effort than the reward. I would never say don't do it. You always want to try it yourself, but it's not as easy as just digging them up and replanting them. It's getting them to come back out of dormancy once you've done that. And I had a 50% success rate with that. I moved the sweet peppers back over here. So in one container, there is the purple slips, and in the container on the right, this the slips from the orange ones. I noticed the orange sweet potato, the slips that I removed, those all had roots attached to them. So I'll probably, even though they have less leaves and smaller leaves, I'll probably be planting in the 4-inch containers those sweet potatoes, the orange sweet potatoes, sooner than the purple ones. Since I freed up space indoors, it allowed me to plant my tomato varieties. So these were just planted about a day or 2 ago. And I have 16 different tomato varieties and ground cherries in here. I just put all the different seeds that I'm going to plant in here in one container versus doing a bunch of containers or a 6-cell. And I got the idea from Roots and Refuge video. It made a lot of sense, and I figured why not try it since I'm going to pot them up anyway.